charge. It's been something of a 10 weeks, Mike, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously when you get a situation, you take over from the manager that was before and what he'd done for the club. It's big shoes to fill, but it's an opportunity for myself and the staff to try and achieve something. You know, it's not something that you go into thinking, well, it's all going to be okay. You always think it's an opportunity, and that's what we've said. So I said, we spoke to the lads today about it. Everything's an opportunity to move forward. So that's how I've seen it, and that's how I've dealt with it so far.
Okay, questions from the floor, please put your hands up. Okay, let's go to the gentleman in the hat at the back, first of all.
Hi, my name's Paul Downing. Mike, I'd like to know what your tactics are going to be for next season, because to be honest, I've supported this club for 54 years and this is the most boring team I've ever seen in the 54 years I've been watching them, and I certainly don't fancy watching it next year if it's going to be like that, I'll be honest.
Right, when you say tactics, do you mean the style of play? Do you mean the players? Do you mean...
I'll be honest, Mike, when you took over from Graham, you said, oh, we were going to be more attacking and create teams problems. The only problems we're causing ourselves. Looking at it, it looks as though we try not to lose games rather than try to win them. And to me, a game of football is all about winning, not trying not to get beat.
Yeah, I can take your point. I think you take every game that you go into, you watch every team that you're going to play. You know your own players. I work with them every day. We never go into a game trying not to lose it. I think if you go to somewhere like Wolves, I think if you're going to go there and think you can turn up and play open football, then I don't think that's going to happen. I know the players, and I think we need to try and get them as best prepared as we can. As we go in the style of football I want to play, sometimes the players don't enable that. You've got to have a style of football that suits your players and the mentality and the form they're in at this time. So I understand your point, and the style of football I want to moving forward would be an attacking style of football. I said that from the very start. But obviously as the games go by, you've got to work towards not losing games in certain situations, because that can deplete and destroy confidence at a group that's been low with confidence. So moving forward, I'd like to play attacking football. I'd like to play out from the back. But you've got to have key players to play out from the back. You've got to have key players to play through the thirds. You've got to have key players up front in regards of pace, power, agility, mobility and quality. Now, we've got players here capable of doing that, but we haven't got 16 or 17 of them. So I totally take your point, and I know you want to watch attacking football, and that's moving forward. I'll speak to you afterwards about, I've got a book here, a plan I've put together regarding formation, style, players, system, that you're more than welcome to have a look at my moving forward.
Yeah, Mike, we've had
hold on, come on, we've got to share out the questions.
Fine.
We've had 14 strikers this season.
Yes.
They can't all be bad strikers, it's got to be down to the way that we play, because half of them could have just cows out of the banjo.
Can you tell me you tell me some good strikers and tell me the key things about what makes them good strikers?
A lot from the service they get. Our midfield's non-existent in most games.
Okay.
Yeah. Midfield's non-existent, you say, Mike?
Yeah, well, I'm just dealing with the strikers. So you talk about the strikers, so good strikers, service, definitely. So what about pairings of strikers? Good strikers and good teams, what do you see when you see good strikers and good teams?
I'm not being funny, but you could have Van Persie and Rooney in our team and they wouldn't score goals. When was the last time we had a winger who takes on the fullbacks and puts some decent crosses? We don't get them, do we?
Well, we've got Paul Parry, John Taylor, that produce crosses and produce goals. I think regarding strikers, it built on partnerships and understanding. So if we get a striker in for a month, it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get him to play the way you want to play, and if he's not a certain style of player, then you've got to adjust the style you're willing to play. So sometimes you only got a choice of a couple of strikers, and sometimes you have to take what's out there and fit them into the system that you want to do. I understand that we've not hit the target as much as we should have done, and we've not scored as much as we should have done. But that comes from continuity and playing together. Top strikers and top teams play together. They know each other's game, and you know how to find them. You know how to feed them. But if they're coming in and out the door every minute,
you're not going to get continuity when you have 20 loan players.
Yeah, loan players is an issue which I'm sure people want to raise. We've got to spread these around. We'll come back to loans, please. Gentleman in the blue jumper first of all.
John Holding, supporter for Shrewsbury Town Football Club for 60 years.
Yeah.
I've got a two-part question.
Yeah.
As a Shrewsbury Town supporter, are we likely to see a Shrewsbury Town Football Club team again? At the moment, it's like watching Shrewsbury loan arrangers. So many loan players, and 80% haven't done a thing for us. Part 2, Mr. Jackson, you've now been in charge for 13 games and only amassed 12 points out of 39. Why? Do we have a squad of players? And why do we keep dropping players like John Taylor, Ryan Woods, etc., and keep playing loan players?
Okay, yeah, loans first of all, Mike. That's a lot of emails as well on the loan system. What are your thoughts on that?
good question. I think loans has been dictated from the summer. So you have a squad that you start with in the season, that you have a certain number of players that you have to have in your squad to fulfil positions. So you go into the season with not enough players to start with, and then what happens then? You have to bring loans in. Now the loans that you bring in, again, we've had some good loans here that have been sent back or called back just as they're getting going. So then another one comes in. Now I've got some stats here on loans, you've probably got them as well, regarding we've had 81 players in 3 years. We've had 41 loans in 3 years. Now how can you build a team that's going to have any continuity, any understanding, any belief and any teamwork with 81 players? Get rid of 12 players 1 year, get 12 players the next, 6 players the next, and you're just turning players over time and time again. You can't build a team like that. So regarding John Taylor, I left John Taylor out because I thought he was poor at Sheffield United. I left him out for that game. He come back, he scored 2 against Notts County. I know the players, I understand where you're coming from. I don't play loans because I think I want to play them because they've been brought in before our own players. It's never that. It's always judged on what I see in the changing room, what I see on the training pitch every day. And believe me, if I could have a team of my own players, I'd have that all day long. All day long. But when you don't get your business right in the summer, you're chasing your tail completely. Now we have faced the situation on Saturday where I've got 6 loans, I've got injuries, and I can only play 5 of them. Now ideally I'd want to play 6 of them, but I can't. So I've got to pick the team on that, on what's best, because I know someone's carrying a knock, someone's half fit. So then I've got to judge the team by that, what's best on that day. But it's never done. I wish I could have my own team. I wish we had 20 odd of our own players that we could work with, not just for 1 season, 2 to 3 years, and build a squad and a team that everyone can be proud of. And you can talk about the style of play. If you can't introduce a style of play in a season and in 2 seasons, then you don't deserve to be a manager.
Helen emailed in, Mike, to say along those lines, they're like passing through the night, these loan players. How do you inspire spirit and passion in somebody who might only be here for a month or 2 months?
It's difficult. I think I've spoke to managers since I've been in charge after games, and everyone's of the same opinion of loans, that you need them in the build. If you're going to take a loan, the loan should be the cream on the top of your squad. Or when you've got a really bad problem, injuries, and you've got loans ready to go in with regards of 2 or 3 for a left back, you've got positions ready. Or if your youth system's doing its job, you play one of your own. But all these managers are saying at the moment, you need them in the building for 6 months, or you want them in the summer so you can keep them with you, like we did with Adam Reach. Adam Reach stayed with us for 3 or 4 months, worked here, great lad, lived here, actually bought into the culture of what we were trying to do, and that's what you've got to do if you're going to take loans in.
Gentleman here, third row in, very briefly, do you feel your hands were a bit tied by that then, since you came in, Mike?
I think you could say, obviously, what happened with Graham. Obviously, he was asked to stay, you know what I mean? But he's decided to go, and I would never say a bad word against him because I know him as a man. So.
But you've inherited a loan situation.
Yes, that's it. You've got 2 or 3 days in the long window to make decisions, and you've got to do it quickly because you haven't got the squad to put a team out. So it's not ideal, but we have got what we've got. Now we can sit here and think, well, that's us. We've got loads of loans. Can't do anything with them. They're not good enough. Why are we playing them? But we've got to play them. We've got no choice. So what we've got to do is work with them and make sure they're buying into what we need at this moment in time. And it's not going to be easy, but it's an opportunity and it's possible. We've got to keep believing that.
Evening, Mike. Paul Diamond. The question I want to ask, Mike, is obviously a lot of people could possibly predict this situation back in July of last year without going into the season with a full squad. Why are Shrewsbury Town having problems attracting our own players, especially strikers? And the second part of the question is, what are we going to do to protect keeping the players such as Connor Golson, John Taylor, Ryan Woods, who I believe are all out of contract in 8 weeks' time?
Yeah. Regarding the likes of Connor Golson, Ryan Woods, John Taylor's under contract. Ryan Woods is under contract. Connor Golson is in discussions. So we've worked, as soon as I came in, I worked to try and get the young lads that we've done with Callum, the young kids signed up. And one of the things that I insisted on was trying to sort the other young players out so we can make sure we can keep them, because they've got to be the nucleus of what we're trying to build. You know, they've been here for a while. We want them players to be part of the club. But obviously if offers come in for him, you don't know that until the summer. People want to take good young players, but we want to try and build a team around them and have good senior players. I've studied this league for a long time. You need good senior players that have played the level as your spine. Again, there's stats here I'm welcome to show you later on about clubs in and around us, of get people in the teams who have played this level, and you're talking of 1,000 games more than our squad in their squads. So you see where you're at in regards of, and you need players that have played the level with good young players around them.
But what about the attraction or the failing to attract decent players to the club?
I think when you're trying to, the hardest thing to get is strikers. It's the hardest position to get because everybody wants them. It becomes more of a bargain in money, in wages, and you're competing with in this division, you're competing with some very big clubs in regards of strikers. Now, what we've got to do, we've got to try and find another James Collins. That's where we're not going to be able to sign your £200,000 strikers on £4 and £5 grand a week. It ain't going to happen. We've got to go and find and work and recruit, and that's where we're working on now. We're already building for the future. We're already looking at players. Andy's put a list together, best players in the non-league that he's seen. We're looking at League 2, we're looking at League 1. So we're trying to find players that we can pick them now, work with them, and produce another James Collins, produce another John Taylor, because that's the way we've got to go moving forward.
Thank you. We talked to Mike Jackson at a Shrewsbury Town Q&A, and we're on BBC Radio Shropshire as well. Gentleman by the door first wants to ask a question.
Hi, Mike. Paul Roden from Telford.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry to talk about loans again.
No problem, no problem.
But a few loan players you brought into the club.
Yes.
You're paying them wages, I presume.
Yes.
And they're not even fit.
Yeah.
Do you watch loan players before you bring them into Shrewsbury Town?
Yes. I totally understand. I knew this question was going to come up. When I talk about fitness, when you talk about under 21 football, I don't know, obviously not being disrespectful to anyone in the room. If you've ever watched under 21 football, it's half pace. It's you have it, we have it. There's no tempo to it whatsoever. So these lads are trained at a certain tempo and a certain way of playing, and obviously then they come into a situation of a first team football club in League One, and again you speak to all the managers, and it takes you, this is why you need them in the building for 3 to 6 months, because it takes you 3 to 4 weeks. They can't deal with the tempo of the training, they can't deal with the tempo of the games. There's a lad there, Dom, who played the other day, who from Wolves. Dave said he was the fittest lad at Wolves. Now he's finished that game, he's never been in a game like it, never been in a tempo like it. Now we watch him, but we know we're bringing them in knowing that they're not going to be 100% fit. We know that, but we've got to try and bring people in of a certain quality, otherwise we're not going to have a squad.
But that stops with you, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know, to me, you're wasting club money bringing players in that aren't fit. We need players into this football club, you gotta say the trouble we're in, not players that aren't fit.
But at this moment in time, at this stage of the season, the players you're going to get are going to be players that people don't want from other clubs. They're not actually getting in their first teams, so they might not have played. They might not have played a lot of games, so they have not. I wouldn't say not once. I'd say they're not getting in their squads. So then you've got to take them to a certain extent. You've got to work with them and train them.
Well, you've had a reserve game today.
Yes.
The Celtic striker didn't even play, and you're saying he's not fit. So surely playing in the reserves is getting him up to match fitness.
Well, obviously we've got Saturday to think about, so that's in me thinking regarding him and how he's going to work. He's worked today really hard with the group.
Yeah, but is he fit?
He's worked.
Is he fit?
Is he fit? Yeah, he's fitter than what he
So
was
you're
in the
going to
first
say
game.
he's up now in front of all these people.
Yeah.
He's fit to play 90 minutes for Shrewsbury Town Football Club.
He won't be fit to play 90 minutes. He'll be
Oh,
fit to take part in the game.
Rest of the case then.
Okay, let's just that gentleman at the back with his hand up as well.
I'm Paul from Basingdale.
Right.
My question tonight, which is the most asked question on the message boards, is why you dropped Will. When he's been one of our most consistent goalkeepers we've had for quite some time.
Yeah.
Basically, if it wasn't for Will last year, we would have been down in the second division already. I mean, there's no way in this world I rate Anion as a far better goalkeeper than Will. My point is, I think there's more than you're actually saying or letting the fans know. There is underlying what's going on behind the club. To me, you're not telling us the truth.
Well, let's just clear that up, shall we? A lot of questions about Chris Wheel. Actually, lots of emails too, wanting to know why you're choosing Chris Wheel ahead of Joe Anion. Give us your reasons, Mike.
The other way round.
The other way round, yes.
Obviously, we're leading up to Chris Wheel was in goal for the first 3 games up to Sheffield United. Obviously, I'd seen him before that. I know all about what he is, what character he is, and I thought he'd make mistakes. I thought he'd made mistakes, and I thought that he hadn't done and played to the standard that he's capable of. Now, no one's undroppable. No player's undroppable. Now, if they think they are, then that ain't going to happen. Because players need to play well no matter who they are in the squad, no matter what standing they've got in the squad, and that goes for all teams and all managers. Now, as regards anything personal, that's never ever been an issue. I haven't got anything personal against Chris Wheel whatsoever. Now, if someone can tell me what the personal thing is, I'd love to know what it is.
Is Chris Wheel working hard to get his way back in?
Of course he is. He's an absolute top professional. He's the first in the morning, he's the last to leave.
Well, that is up to the manager, but who knows what will happen on Saturday. He picks the team. Lots of questions about Chris Wheel as well. Were you a bit disappointed by the goal that Joe Anion let in at Walsall on Saturday, Mike?
I'm disappointed with every goal that goes in.
Yeah, I mean, there is a balance. You feel that Joe Anion is a good goalkeeper, clearly.
I think Joe's done it. He's done okay. He's made mistakes. He's kept clean sheets.
So the bottom line, Mike, is that before every game you weigh up every position, and that includes the goalkeeper. So it could be that Chris Wheeler is back on Saturday. That's up to you to reveal at the time.
Could well be. I understand people's frustration, and I know people could pick. They'll have a side that they want to pick, and they think's the best. I totally agree with that, and that football would be boring if that wasn't the case. Everyone's got an opinion on that, but I don't pick sides on personal and vendettas, and I don't like him. I've been in football for 25 years. That's just ridiculous. You can't pick teams like that. You pick them on form. You pick them on what you think and what you feel and what you see. Now, I think Wheelie has trained really well, and he's in contention for Saturday. And so's Athertitz. He's trained really well. He knows himself. I've spoke to Neil Lennon on the phone about him. We've had long conversations, and the same thing comes back. He needs to work harder, and he's working harder, and he's got his head down, and he's a top player technically. But what lets him down sometimes is his physical capability to last 90 minutes. But some players, if you look at centre forwards or look at teams, who usually comes off in a game? It's usually strikers. You're trying to change it, or you're trying to look for something else. So I'm more than happy he is 100% fitter than when he first walked through the door by a mile.
Question.
And he's put the work in.
Full throwback.
Hiya Mike, it's
Hiya.
Alan, mate. What I'd like to put up is we are where we are at the moment, and we don't seem to have any players. We've got to be an attacking side from now on in if we're going to stand any chance. We don't seem to have players that want to pick the ball up, take defences on and get in the box and make things happen. We're constantly just floating balls in, which are very easy to defend against, hence how many goals we've scored this season. We don't have players that will commit themselves and actually get in there and make things happen. It seems to be the same play all the time. I was wondering what you were thinking about to rectify this problem and to make us a much more positive side, you know, than what we are, and really take these games to the opposite's defence. Often the ball is just pumped over the top, they're offside, or they're going out the flank, it's floated in. Nobody is committing themselves and really running at defences and make things happen, and that's hence why we've only won 8 games this season.
I think that's a great question. I think it's a really, really good question. It's something we've discussed today. You know what I mean? We look at, obviously after defeats, you look and we're looking at that. How are we going to score more goals? So we've got 4 strikers there. Where do they usually score the goals? So we'll watch all the goals they've scored at other clubs, with the lads who are on loan, and we're looking where they're going to score. How can we get them in areas to score goals? And I think you're spot on. We've got to be more attacking. I think away from home, I think when you give goals away early, the confidence can drain really quickly. I think when we've been tight to start with, we've been in games and we created chances, we haven't taken them, we know that, but we have created a lot more. The last 2 games, we haven't created enough. I totally agree with you. So we've been working today, we'll work Thursday, we'll work Friday, and we're looking to get people in them areas. I think we need to be more crossing. I think we need to get people in and around the box more. I think we need to get more people in the box. I think we need to get midfield players in the box. So that's something, I think it's a great question. I think that's what we're trying to do. We've got to take the game, especially the home games, we've got to take it to them. I totally agree.
Thank you very much. On this side, the gentleman in the Shrewsbury Town blue and amber sweatshirt, first of all, and then the gentleman behind him as well.
Hi, Russell. I'm just wondering, really for Andy Morrell, seen him numerous times and being a great prolific goal scorer that he's been over his time, is he actually signed as a player coach? And if he isn't, why not? Could he not come on and score goals where we're struggling at the moment? What's your opinion on that?
I seen him in training this morning, so obviously he's a top goal scorer, he has been. But it's something, to be fair, people have asked me the same question, would I do it? But at this moment in time, it's not something I think it's the right thing to do. I think Andy agrees with me on that. You know, where he's come here to be a coach and an assistant manager. and use his expertise to work with the strikers as well. And we're trying to do that. We're trying to, I know you don't think that, we're trying to work with these players every day. We sit and we watch and we go to games and discuss, and we want this team to be better. We want this team to stay in the league just as much as you do. You may not think that, but I promise you we do. It means a lot. I've been here now for nearly 6 years, so I don't take it lightly, the responsibility that I've got. I know the loans situation, I know your feelings and everything, but I don't take it lightly. It's something that I did. It's a big, big challenge, and we're doing our very best, and we need to do more, and we'll continue to try and do that, I promise you.
Do you think Andy's introduction has helped the strikers? You see them in training every day, Mike? Well, we're going to get a goal sometime.
Again, I think we can ask Andy that later on. I think strikers work in partnerships. They've got to try and work in partnerships, because they need to. Who feeds your strikers? You've got midfield players, you've got wide players. But then you need some sort of combination between them two, and how they're going to score. How they're going to get themselves in position. I played centre back for how many years, and the hardest centre forwards to play against are the ones who play together, because the ones on their own are easy to mind. Two that play together, you've got a problem, and that's where we're trying to develop a partnership which is going to suit. Now, I'll probably pick the wrong team sometimes. Now we're looking and we're trying to find the right solution for these last 6 games, and I think Andy's helped, because he gives them little pointers that sometimes I won't see, and he does. So that's the reason I brought him in. I'm confident that he can do the job that I've asked him to do, no problem.
Put your hands up, please. We're just over halfway through the question and answer session here on BBC Radio Shropshire. This man's had his hand up for ages.
Hi Mike, Mike Rogers, been a fan now 46 years. Harking back again to the loans.
Yeah.
The figures you quoted before, the amount of players that have come through the club on loan over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And you were saying that we knew the squad wasn't big enough at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Why can't we attract players to the club? Because if we can't attract them now in Division 1, God forbid we go down to Division 2, we're never going to attract them. To my mind, when you've got loan players coming in, it's saying to your players you've already got on contract, I don't think you're good enough. I understand injury situations, I get that. I'm sure you're not relishing the situation, same as Graham didn't.
Yeah.
So do we look above yourself and look up to the board and say, where's the money? Where's it gone from all these players that we've had here? Where's the money gone?
Are you getting backing from upstairs, Mike?
Say that again?
Are you getting the backing from upstairs?
Yeah. Regards of what I've asked for in regards of loans, because we needed them, I've been backed. I would have been backed, and we could have got even better ones in than what we've got, but we've got some good ones in. We have got some good players in. We've had Miles Story in, which would have been a great one. Just getting going.
If I could just
Yeah.
say regarding Story,
Yeah.
when he was here, how many games did he play? Was it 5, 6? How many goals did he score?
But again, he was just getting to where he needed to be, and he's taken away from you, because you've helped to get him fit.
We've helped to get him fit for Swindon. He's gone back there and scored 2 in 3 games.
Yeah, I totally.
I think we've done a lot on the loans.
I'd like to say about it. When you recruit, we had 2 strikers at the start of the season. One was Tom Bradshaw, and one was John Marsden, who was come from non-league. So straight away, you haven't got enough players to start the season up front.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying there, but why haven't you received the backing from above to go out and say, look, that's what we need, go and find us somebody?
Well, obviously, the start of the season, I'm not.
I know you will.
I'm not in there with Graham, and I'm the chairman regarding that. There's figures regarding of losses, which I think are in the public domain already, that have losses from the first season, or the promotion season, the first season, and leading into this season now, which I think has forced us not been able to invest in the squad as we would have liked. I think it's been budgeted for a cup run and selling the player, sometimes, and I think that hasn't happened in the last few years now. A lot of clubs like ourselves need that sort of thing, and we need to sell a player, and we need to have a good cup run which brings extra revenue in, brings fans through the gate, but it goes hand in hand. There's obviously the gates drop because the fans want to see a team near the top of the league doing well, they want to see their own players, so it goes hand in hand with that. I understand the gates are going to drop off, so I think that all ties in with loss of revenue as well. But I totally take your point on it. It's not. I don't think it was planned to happen like it was. I think we've been caught out. I think we've been caught out, and we've been caught a bit short. We thought probably, or what was discussed at the start of the season, whether the loans, and if it's come back to bite us. We know that. So I'll be happy to speak to you later on a bit more in detail, figures and stuff, by all means.
Okay, lots of hands up, thank you. We've got to move on. Very patient man at the back in the green shirt as well. You've been very patient with somebody on this side too, I think.
Hello, George from Shrewsbury. Back to Chris Wheel. I noticed he hasn't even been playing in the reserves. Hasn't even played in the reserves for the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Hasn't played for a month.
Yeah.
I realise you might want to give the youngsters a chance, but if he's going to be pushing for the first team, really he's got to have some match practice, and it sort of really makes me feel that no matter what he does, he's not going to get picked. And if Joe Anion threw the ball in his own net 3 times in a match, that's about all it would take. Well, that's what it would take for him to get dropped.
There's obviously some feeling in this subject, Mike, isn't there?
Yeah, I understand. Chris Wheel, regarding reserve games, I think first you look at the reserve game where it's going to be played. So if it's going to be played at the ground, or you going, then okay, it's worth him maybe playing. Then you speak to the other managers of the teams of what sort of squads they're going to be playing. So if he's playing against a gang of kids, no disrespect to Chris Wheel, that ain't going to do him any good mentally, and it ain't going to do him any good football wise, because it's not going to test him in the way that he needs to be tested. Chris Wheel trains like an animal every day. Danny takes him every day. He trains more than anyone I've ever seen. So in a question of fitness and sharpness, Danny's done a great job with him, and he'll be ready to go. Wheelie is ready to go. But we've got to look mentally. If you talk the keeper who's been first team selection, then put him in the reserve straight away, that isn't going to help him mentally. I understand where Wheelie's at, so bear with me.
Okay, I think we've answered Chris Wheel so far. There's a gentleman in the hat here in the middle as well, who'd like to ask a question, and then on the right-hand side of the room too.
Hi Mike.
Hiya.
Lee. When Graham left,
Yeah.
I hoped we might get a more positive captain installed.
Right.
And I'm not going to be horrible or anything, but I've got my own views on our captain, and I don't see an awful lot of leadership from him on the pitch. Does he do something off the pitch that we don't see? And also, I'd like to say I would put Paul Parry as captain, because I think he's vocal and he's got a lot of experience. That's it really. I'd like to know what you think.
Thank you, Lee. We've had emails on Tamika Makandawiri as well. Marty says, what's he do off the pitch to earn that armband? And Joe says, is he a commanding enough presence at the back? So again, another hot potato about your captain, Mike.
Tam, I agree, Tam's not a massive vocal captain. He isn't one of them and ball and shouter. He does have respect from the players. I can assure you of that. The way he behaves in and around the dressing room, changing room, training ground, the way he goes about his work. Regarding Paul Parry, I think he's been excellent. And what I've said to the senior lads today is it's now them that need to, we've had a meeting today, it's now them that need to set up and set the tone in the dressing room, because they've got the experience now, they can help the younger lads moving forward. So I've passed that responsibility on to them to run that dressing room, because you're only as good as what them senior players are feeding into that younger set of players.
I'd like to see us led from the front,
So I'd like to see us led from the front and being more positive. And I think Paul Parry could do that, personally.
Yes, I think there's more players throughout the team who need to do that. We spoke about that today. It's time now. They've got to step up, especially the senior lads who have been in situations and they played the game time. But there was a question from the back before about being more positive, playing more positive, and we do work on doing that. If you were to come to watch us train, anyone who wanted to come and watch us train, you can do and watch us work. By all means, come and spend the morning with us, see what we do, see what we're trying to do, and we do try and put that into the players. But sometimes, as the game goes on, things affect that, and the confidence can drain quickly, and the safety catch comes on. Oof, don't really want to do that, don't really want to make that mistake, and we're trying to get that out of them. Go on, take the handbrake off, you go for it. You're in the final third, go. They're given that freedom, I promise you.
It must be very hard, Mike. I mean, confidence means such a lot to a team, and all the teams down the bottom obviously don't have much. What do you do to try and instill confidence into the players?
Repeatedly positive messages about showing what they can do, but obviously with the reality of what they've got to do better. It's no good just dressing it all up and saying, well, you're doing okay, this is alright. That isn't. We're trying to show them. Wits does a lot of work with us in clippings and cuttings, and we're always looking for that edge. I spoke to Tony Pulis today, speaking to Robert Martinez tomorrow, just trying to pick little bits from people who are in that situation, asking him what they've done with the players, how they've worked with them, what they're concentrating on. So I'm searching, and we're searching for any little advantage we can get. We're not just sitting there thinking, what are we going to do? We're looking, and we're learning, and we're putting it into these players as much as we can to keep them the confidence high.
Can we just wind up Johnny Taylor and chuck him into the dressing room? That would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's John Taylor's John Taylor. You know, you see him that Bradford game where he sparked everything off. All of a sudden he comes to life and he's unplayable for 10 minutes, and we need more from that. Again, Paul Parry, we need that Bradford 20 minutes, and I think first half as well we did well in Sages. We need that sort of performance now moving forward, and they're capable of doing it, but we need everyone's backing and to stick with us. I know it's been a disappointing season so far for you, and I appreciate all your questions and everything that points that you put across, because I think these things aren't worth doing unless you say that. Sometimes I may come across as a bit abrupt, but it's not, and it's not me. It's just I care about what I'm doing, and I really want to try and work with you.
Last quarter of an hour of this question and answer session at the Greenhouse Meadow on BBC Radio Shropshire. Question at the back.
Hello Mike, my name is Alan James. My question is this: if we get relegated this season, why should you be a candidate to be the next permanent manager of Shrewsbury Town?
Good question. I like that. I'd rather you say that than why not. I've known this club for a long while. It's something that I'm passionate about in regards of wanting to be a manager. It's something I've worked from since I was 24 years of age in regards of coaching badges, studying, watching, going to clubs. I know this club inside out. I know what it's going to take from the bottom regarding the youth. I know what it's going to take in regards of recruitment, what sort of players we're going to need. I know a style of play, what I want to play. I know the league. I know the league below. I've been promoted from this league 3 times. I've been in the playoff in this league 4 times. And that's part and parcel of what I am. But I want to make this club successful, and I think I can do it. If I didn't think I could do it, I wouldn't be sat here saying these things. I've got, again, I'll speak to you after. I'm glad to show that I put this plan into the chairman. The lads have been with me on it. We've got a way and a plan moving forward, not just for 1 season. It's for 3 to 4 seasons. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of organisation and a lot of work from a lot of people, including staff sat by me now. So I think I can do the job. I've worked all my life for it. and I'm not going to give it up easy.
To be fair, Mike didn't just walk into the chairman and say, I'd like the job. You did compile a huge report. You know, you've looked at every aspect of the club, I think, haven't you?
Yes, we've gone through every aspect of the football club regarding recruitment, regarding budget, regarding youth, regarding facilities, moving forward, everything, the squad. I think the biggest thing that the club needs to improve on, and it's the biggest single thing in football, is recruitment. Now that needs a strategy, and it needs scouts, and it needs planning, and it needs a budget to do that. And that's, if we don't do that, you'll never improve your team. You've got to be 3 to 6 months ahead of your window, of your transfer window. If you react in the window, you're going to make mistakes, and that's what we're moving forward trying to do.
Okay, there's a gentleman here in the hat at the front.
John Mathias.
And then at the back. Just a second, please. Gentleman in the hat first.
Hi Mike. Hi. How much would relegation cost Shrewsbury Town Football Club? And if you were to go into League 2 and want to get out again, and you see a striker with a price tag, will that money be available?
Can you say that again regarding the League 2 thing, please, again?
How much money would Shrewsbury Town lose if you were to get relegated?
Okay. I've got figures there from losses for this year regarding, I think it's 300,000, regarding money that would be lost already from this season. Obviously you lose money from the league. Obviously you're probably going to lose gate revenue. I think what an encouraging thing is that the chairman said to me the other day, that is people are buying season tickets. They're still backing, they're still coming, and I think that's great. I think that's good moving forward. I think it shows that they're sticking with the club, you know what I mean, the club that they like and they care about, and that's why you're all sat here tonight. Regards in League 2, with regards to the striker, there's strikers that we're looking at. There's one that'd be great, but again, it depends more on the league we're in. But it's something that if it come off, it'd be great for us. But that's something moving forward, which is dictated to by the league. Your signing's going to be dictated by what league you're going to be in.
So planning is in. The gentleman at the back by the bar. But first of all, Keith has emailed BBC Radio Shropshire. Mike, he says, is the scouting network good enough? And how strong is your network of personal contacts with other clubs?
At this moment in time, there's one scout at the club. Now he was doing next up match reports, and obviously I'll try and make it. So the next game we're going to play, he's been sent to watch that team play, do a report on them, what the strengths and weaknesses are. So because he's doing that, he ain't watching players. So the big key blood, the lifeblood of football is actually the players that you're bringing in. So what I've tried to do since I've been in, I've freed him up to go and watch players, and we've now got someone else in the scout doing match reports. But the idea is then we need to open the scout. We need a scout that works in the non-league. We need someone who works down south. We need someone who covers the under-21s, and we need to feed that all into a database that moves forward, because you've got to have players. You can't build teams. You need if we're going to get, say we need 15 players at the end of the season, say whatever division we're in, you're going to need 60 to get 15 players. You're not just going to go out and there's 15, we'll have you, thank you very much. You're going to need 60. So that's the work that's being put in now. Lists have been compiled from all over the country, and that's what we're trying to do at this moment in time.
Thank you, Mike. Let's go to the back. Keep your hands up, will you, because we've got about 10 minutes to go.
Okay, it's Rob from Shrewsbury. First of all, I'm going to say fair play to you for coming and doing this question and answer, because as you can see from here in the questions, people are pretty fed up, and you've got the raw end of it because you've inherited it. Now, 2 years ago, Shrewsbury Town Football Club did the hardest bit. They got promoted. We'd waited 15 years for that, and last season we got out of it. You said the club made a mistake and got it wrong this season. Well, they got it wrong the first season when we got up, and underinvested.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Tom Eaves, who everyone's having to go at now, did bail us out with some important goals. But the frustration is we've done it a second time. And I feel a bit sorry because you're fielding answers which I think the chairman, Roland Wycherley, needs to answer. And I'd like to... And I know he doesn't like public speaking, fair enough, but maybe you could take it back to him and say, well, can he even put it in the programme, his thoughts, because there's a lot of unanswered questions and we don't know the thoughts. Now, he made a ridicule the other day saying, oh, the supporters would bankrupt the club or a minority. Well, no, people are asking questions because we don't know what the facts are, and you don't get to see much of the accounts of Companies House. All right, the ones before it showed we had 1.2 million, so people are naturally going to say, well, where's the investment in just a permanent spot?
You. So 2 parts to that question, I think. 1, is there the financial backing for you when you speak to the chairman? And 2, have you got the ability to get back up next season with, I think, what will probably be from you, a different policy? Mark?
Yeah, I can understand. It's a good question. No. Good, I like that. Well, you can come and sit here with me. On Saturday as well. Yeah, I understand the question regarding, obviously you want to hear from the chairman. Obviously you've said that he doesn't like coming out and speaking publicly. I think it's something that I will ask him, definitely, about being more transparent in what's going on in regards of some questions, and if I can speak to you later on if you think couple of questions you'd want to speak to him about, I'm more than happy to put that question to him, and clear things up with you. Regarding the finance moving forward for players, that's going to be dictated to by obviously the league that we're in, and backing from investing, is any more investment coming into the club, which I don't know whether there would be, but I know that the chairman cares about the club, and you can say, well, you're going to say that because he's giving you the opportunity to do this and do that. I can understand that, but he does care about the club, and he takes criticism harshly, like I think a lot of us do. I think that happens. That's human nature. But he's got the good of the club at his heart, and I think what's happened is he knows things have gone not well, and he knows everybody's got a part to play in that, in who's involved in the club. I think he knows that, and it's hurting. It has hurt him, and we're trying to. What we need to do is stay in this league and make sure we get ourselves out of it, and then we can learn from these mistakes. But we've got to, you're right, we've done it the first year, we've done it again, so I can understand where you're coming from, but we can't keep doing it. That's why I asked me, do I think I'm the man to do the job? That's why I think I am, because I know what's gone on, I know what needs to be done, and I know how to run a football club from top to bottom.
Just a frustration.
Thank you, Mike. Sorry, we're going to take people in turns. This poor man has got an aching shoulder from having his hand up.
Hi, Mike. Chris Wood. Again, thanks for tonight. Really appreciate this opportunity. A lot of negativity around, obviously, you know that, and you've already touched on points like, you know, losing fans and things like that. What would you say to the listening public and the people in the room tonight to persuade people? I think a lot of people are wavering about buying season tickets. What would you say to people tonight? I think a lot of that's down to loans. You know, the amount of loanees we've had, you've already answered that, Style of play, another thing. Just, you know, it hasn't been pretty to watch. So what would you say to everyone tonight to say, come down, support us, keep the faith, renew your season ticket?
I think we've got to give you something to shout about first, haven't we? You know, we've got to try and get you in. It's alright me sitting here and saying, well, we're going to play great football from now to the end of the season. I don't think that's going to happen. What we can do is play passionate football and having a go football and taking it to the opposition, especially at home. I think regarding the season tickets, I know with financially way things are nowadays, sometimes that's the first thing to go is the social. But I think you've seen in the past that the club has done well. It has done well in the past, and it did get promoted. Now, it's made mistakes, but we need the fans to stick with the club, and we need them to stick with it more than ever now, even though you feel like probably punching my head off, and a few others, you know, and I totally understand that, and I've got to take that, but all I ask is, don't give it to players. Please don't push it onto the players. Give it to me. Yeah, give it to me afterwards. Give it to me at the end of the season. But
it really
stick with these players. But
it really doesn't look like passionate football, like a team that's in a relegation battle. So that is, but there's no urgency. You know, it's just passing it.
Would you say when we played?
It's tough to watch.
Okay.
Don't get angry.
Would that be on the last two games? Where
say it'd be on most of the season.
Let's talk about, so these 12 games I've been here. So I'd say Swindon away. I say with what we deserve, we thought we deserved more from that. I think you're looking at, then you go into Sheffield United, didn't deserve anything. Brentford, I think that's a passionate performance, and a comeback. And I think that against the top of the league. I think you go to Wolves, no, that's not a passionate performance, and a team that are trying to get out of it. I don't know what is.
I think it's all hands to the pump on and off the pitch, isn't it?
Well, there's no. You must have heard interviews that I've done. I don't dress anything up. You know when we play bad, and you'll let me know. Colchester wasn't good enough. Walsall wasn't good enough. The lads know that. But these lads aren't all of a sudden going to go and win. From when I took up, they weren't going to go and win 10 games on the spin. They weren't going to do that. What we were trying to do is build little steps, little building blocks of confidence, so they can keep moving, pushing forward.
Okay, come on. We're into the last couple of minutes, so let's squeeze a couple of questions. This man, very patient, on the front here.
Barry from Shrewsbury. You said you made a list, you probably answered my question probably, made a list of players for next year, even non-league. There's a lot of players for Aberystwyth, name of Venables. I don't know what age he is. He scores singles and doubles. He got a hat-trick last Friday night. Is he on the list, or have you heard anything about him, seen him?
Not at this moment in time. But he scores a lot of goals.
Well, there we are. You've got him on your list now to go and have a look at.
Yeah.
There we are. All help needed, of course. Here, just by the pillar.
Hi, Mike. I understand you launched an appeal for
Joe Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had anything back? And also, what do you say to the fans about Tommy's? Because I know a lot of people have criticised him and say he should be sent back to Bolton.
Yeah. Regarding Joe Mills, no, they've turned it down. They've turned it down because quality of DVD. So, you know, that's what you're dealing with in that.
Tom Eaves is a good point though. A lot of emails about Tom Eaves as well. What are your thoughts there, Mike?
Tom Eaves, obviously, I think from last year, he scored the goals that kept us in the league. You could say that, but I think there's been a lot of expectation on him this year, and we've worked with him a lot recently. I spoke to Dougie Freeman about him regular, about how to get the best out of him, because he's obviously not produced what he did last year. Now, is the lad going to respond to criticism and barracking? He's not that sort of lad. No one. It takes a tough player of a lot of experience to even get through that. Now he needs the backing, and he's here till the end of the season. And if you look at Notts County, they've got strikers all of a sudden just popped up with 4 goals, who's hardly scored all season. Now, who's to say Tom Eaves can't do that? We've got to stick with him. We've got 4 strikers there that we're going to need now till the end of the season. Nothing else is going to happen. No one else is going to come in. So we can't hang the lad out to dry. We can't. We've got to stick with him. And I know he frustrates you, and he frustrates me, and he frustrates him. You know, and you feel like jumping on him sometimes and giving him a shake, but we've got to try and do it in the right way and keep working with him. Because
the fans wanted to shake him after Wolves, that's a certain, with that chance.
if I would have got my hands on him first as well. But he does frustrate, but he does do things that you've seen him do last year. Now we're going to need him from now to the end of the season. We've got 6 games, and he's going to be needed, and he needs an arm round him more than a battering. He's just not that sort of player, and there's not many players like that anymore anyway, to be honest.
Mike, we've got Stevenage on Saturday, Tranmere and Crewe to follow, all teams down the bottom with Shrewsbury. What a crucial few weeks.
Yeah, excuse me, I think it's the 3 weeks that's going to shape the season. I think lads maybe think, well, we've got one more game. I think that can creep into the psyche of the players sometimes. Well, there isn't. The games now are so important, and they've always been important. But it's, you know as well as I do, it's getting to a stage now where it's make or break, and it starts with one win can change everything on Saturday. Now it's cheap talk sitting there saying, well, let's bang the drum, do this. Well, again, we've got to make sure we prepare right, and we give the fans something that you can see there's something been put into it, and a bit of quality as well, like you're asking for, and the passion that goes with it. But sometimes things can turn very quickly in a game. A goal can go against you in the first 10 minutes, but if everything turns and slides, that group can slide very quickly where they're at. So I'm asking you, if little things like that happen, it happened against Bradford, all of a sudden, bang bang, 2-1, game's won. So we need to keep that in mind, because that's what it might take, and I guarantee you before now and the end of the season there'll be another game like Bradford somewhere along the line where you think, oh no, oh yes, and that's what we need more than ever now.
Mike, in a masochistic sort of way, you've enjoyed being the gaffer?
I've enjoyed it, yeah. It's been tough. I've learned a hell of a lot in the last couple of months. I've learned more. I've learned a lot tonight. You know what I mean? I've learned a lot tonight. Probably, have I said the right thing? Have I come across in the right way? I can't swear on the radio. But I'm learning all the time. I don't think I ever stop learning. I've always been involved in football, and it's something I'm passionate about. I've always wanted to do it. I played it wherever I've ever been. I've either been in a playoff or a promotion. In first year as a coach, we had a playoff. Second year, I had a promotion. Now this is the first time I've been involved in a situation like this, and I don't want to be involved in it again. So I'm trying to bring everything I can to the table from what I've done in the past. It's something I'm going to do my very best to make sure we all will at this moment in time.
Mike and his team will stay on to answer some questions. We've got to end the recording, so what I'll say is, Mike, thank you very much for coming tonight. It's been very difficult for you. The chips are down. It's not all of your own making as well. So as one of our question people asked, well done and thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Jackso.